Council on Aging of West Florida has partnered with the Escambia County Supervisor of Elections Office on a campaign to raise awareness among seniors of the potential need to update their voter signatures. Here to explain why it is important and how to do it is the Escambia County Supervisor of Elections, David Stafford. David, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it.
Well, this is kind of a new thing we've kind of partnered on, and it's been very successful. Thank you very much for getting with us and involving us in this.
Well, we thank you. It has been successful, certainly from our standpoint as well. We've seen a lot of updated voter registrations with their signatures, and also had the opportunity to roll out a new piece of equipment that's going to help persons with disabilities.
Okay, well, let's start off. You know, we were talking about it is obviously we're encouraging seniors, but it can impact other people or could take advantage of this knowledge as well. Who are we really talking about, and who should think, do I need to update my signature?
Sure. Well, we would say is anybody who perhaps believes that over the past, say, 10 to 20 years, or the last time that they can remember having a signature on, putting a signature on file with the elections office, if there's been any change in their signature, significant change, then that's probably someone who ought to think about updating their voter signature. Certainly does do no harm to update your signature, but as far as the necessity, I mean, if you know that your voter signature, your signature in general hasn't changed over the past 10 to 20 years, you have nothing to worry about. But particularly we see in, because the canvassing board, and that is the people that actually look at any disputed absentee ballots, they look and they're comparing the signature that's on the absentee ballot envelope against the signature that we have on file. Sometimes those signatures are 20, 30, 40 years old because people, when they first register to vote, they put a signature on file with us, and if they have no other reason to update their signature, then that remains their official signature on file in our office.
So this is more important, really, as the trend. We're seeing more early voting because, you know, if someone votes in person, they're there with their driver's license, which is probably a fairly updated signature. So this is really something to think about if someone takes advantage of early voting?
Most of the time now it's absentee voting. Early voting is still voting in person, but absentee voting, absolutely. The two main reasons that you want to make sure that you have an updated voter signature on file is, one is if you're going to be voting by mail or absentee voting. The other is if you sign candidate or issue petitions, because we do go through the same process. Candidate petition or issue petition comes in, we don't just blindly accept it. We look at the signature and then look at that signature to make sure, to the best of our ability, that we think that's the same person whose voter record that we've pulled up that they match. And so it's very important, particularly, and then we have injury and illness would be another category of some of persons if they know that their ability to sign their name has changed. In fact, we have people that have an X on file with our office as their voter signature, because one thing that's not allowed is power of attorney is not allowed to vouch for a voter signature as it relates to an absentee ballot.
Okay, so it could just be aging in general, health, anything that, or for any reason that their signature is not what it was possibly.
Correct.
Like you
Sometimes,
said, 20,
you know, you have somebody that'll register at 18 when they're getting their driver's license and they're excited and they have a signature, and then that evolves over the years. Now, a lot of times we can make judgment calls and look, and we believe it's the same person, but sometimes they're markedly different. And then sometimes you see that sometimes it seems fairly obvious to us in looking at the ballots that you have another, like a spouse maybe trying to sign another spouse's ballot, and those are the ones that we kick those out. And so, but the main thing is, if you have any reason to believe that your voter signature may have changed over the years, it's a good idea to go ahead and do it.
What about if somebody, say, when you're giving the example of first getting their driver's license, say they were Bill or Billy, but now 20 years later they go by William? Well, is that a factor too? Or are we really talking about signature?
We're really talking about signature, and again, it's a judgment call. Really, it ends up being a judgment call of three people, and that's the canvassing board. That's a county judge, a county commissioner, and myself. And do we think that do we, to the best of our ability, believe that's the same person? So if you go by Bill and you used to go by Billy, but you still have a last name, now what you do sometimes see is people will put their initials, and their voter signature will be a full signature. Those are the ones that sometimes we'll have to kick out, because if you just have a DHS versus a David H. Stafford, sometimes you can't do a signature match on that. Right.
Well, every vote's important. We don't want anybody to get kicked out. So this is really something that's pretty easy to do, isn't it?
It really is. We have the way to do it is through what's called the voter registration app, Florida voter registration application, and those are available multiple places around town, certainly at our office, even online. The one thing that we still require require in Florida law is what we call a wet signature, and that is the actual signature. The piece of paper has to come back to our office. So you can do that in our office. You could download the Florida voter registration application off of our website, sign it, return it back to us either through the mail or in person. And also you can go to the tax collector's office, public libraries, even places you can get where you go to get a hunting and fishing license. They have Florida voter registration applications available. So there's multiple locations around town that you can do that.
Well, like if one of our viewers were watching the program, can they call and ask that one be mailed to them?
Absolutely. Okay. They can call and we can mail them. We can even fax or email one. Again, the idea is that you want to make sure that at the end that we have a physical piece of paper with a wet signature on it back on our files.
Okay. Well, I know all this is going to be upon us before we know it. What about timeline, and where are we, as far as when you need to do certain things to be able to make sure that your signature is updated and your vote counts?
Florida law states that the signature that's on file for you at the beginning of the absentee canvassing process is the one that you go by. And that absentee canvassing process now starts 15 days before Election Day. So basically, 2 full weeks ahead of Election Day is when you need to make sure that your signature is up to date. And then as far as registering to vote or changing party, those are the two other. We have a deadline of 29 days before Election Day. So for the primary, it's the 16th of July. So if you're not registered to vote, you need to get registered on or before the 16th. Or if you wish to change your party, we're coming into a primary election where if you want to change from one party to another to be able to participate in that party's primary election, that change has to be done on or before the 16th of July.
And the signature would need to be updated by that date as well?
No, the signature can be a little bit later, but and that is the 15 days before when we start canvassing the absentee ballots.
Okay. Well, we want everybody to get a head start and go ahead and
absolutely.
use that 16.
Sooner the better, always.
Right.
We have a lot of people that tend to wait to the last minute.
Well, tell us about this new piece of equipment that you unveiled at the press conference that we had recently.
Yeah, it's called the AutoMark, and it replaces, we had touch screens that back after the 2000 election, there was a whole host of changes that were enacted both by the federal government as well as the state government in an effort to try to respond to the 2000 election. And one of the things that came out of it was voting for persons with disabilities. And so we were required to acquire equipment that was accessible to persons with disabilities. At the time, the only thing that was available on the market that was certified by the state was a fully touchscreen automated process. Fast forward a couple of years, you had a new governor that came in, Charlie Crist. He took the position that he didn't like touchscreens, didn't think they were reliable, so they started phasing them out. We still have a couple more years to go before they're fully phased out, but we went ahead and kind of got a little bit ahead of the curve. What this equipment does is you feed a regular Mark Sense ballot, a regular paper ballot into it, and then it does have a touchscreen interface, which is important for persons with sight difficulties because you can enlarge the text, you can change the contrast, and it also has an audio ballot feature where if you're completely without sight, that you can follow the prompts, and they have Braille and controls on the device itself. And what it does is it physically marks that ballot, shoots the ballot back out to the voter, and then that voter takes the ballot to the same tabulator that everybody else uses, and so it's all the votes are tabulated together.
So anybody who has trouble visually, or maybe even just holding that pencil just the right way and coloring in that oval, and it just makes it easy for everybody.
Absolutely, absolutely. And also it's even got attachments where, and most of the time these voters would bring them themselves, a sit-puff device or paddles for persons with other disabilities. It's got the capability to work with those devices as well. So it's pretty unique piece of equipment. We're excited about rolling it out in the primary election.
Well, great. Well, thanks for all you're doing to make sure that everybody's vote counts and everybody needs to vote.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Well, thank you, David. We appreciate it.